So here we are at the end of 2020 and everyone can't turn the page fast enough. We have had a lot of hardship to face this year between a global pandemic, Californian and Australian wildfires, and escalating racial tensions due to authority with no accountability. America was invaded by murder hornets, that bitch Carol Baskins dressed up as a lion and performed Circle of Life on Dancing with the Stars, and a Bolivian orchestra ended up stranded in a haunted castle for 73 days surrounded by hungry wolves. Not even Mr. Peanut was safe, being killed off at the beginning of the year and hastily reincarnated as Baby Nut. No double entendre intended. Kanye, while running for president, gifted Kim with a hologram of her dead father telling her what a genius she married. And speaking of geniuses, a hacker discovered Trump's Twitter password was MAGA 2020. Giuliani hosted a press conference at the Four Seasons Total Landscaping, and Trump gave medical advice involving bleach injections. But hey, we aren't talking about the brightest bulb in the chandelier here. Dementia tests notwithstanding. Person, woman, man, camera, TV. Person, woman, man, camera, TV. But as much as we have to complain about the past year, we can't let the year pass without taking stock of all the good that has transpired. The tragic deaths of George Floyd, Breonna Taylor, and countless others have inspired movements that have resulted in the beginnings of societal reform, including the dismissal of police departments, the renaming of 10 Army installations that were named for Confederate generals, Robert E. Lee High School being renamed for civil rights leader John Lewis, and dozens of monuments of Confederate, Columbus, and slavers being removed worldwide so that those stories can still be told, but with honest historical context. As George Floyd's 6-year-old daughter put it, "Daddy changed the world." This was only one way in which inequality has been addressed this year. The Supreme Court ruled that Title VII of the Civil Rights Act of 1964 applies to LGBTQ employees, granting them status-based workplace protections for the first time ever. The limitations against gay and bisexual men giving blood have finally been relaxed, and 370 religious leaders from around the world joined forces this past month to condemn and globally ban conversion therapy. Even Crayola is addressing diversity and inclusion by releasing crayons that represent over 40 skin tones, giving kids a chance to accurately color themselves into the world. The election had the highest voter participation in 120 years, and it made history with at least 50 women of color serving in the next Congress. Democrat Mari Turner, a 27-year-old Muslim who identifies as black and non-binary, was elected to the Oklahoma State Legislature. In Delaware, Sarah McBride became the nation's first openly trans state senator. Deb Haaland will lead the Department of the Interior, marking the first time a Native American has ever held the position that oversees the 574 federally recognized Indian tribes and Alaskan Native villages. And with the presidential race decided, we have a woman of color as our next vice president, showing the next generation that there are no limits to what they can achieve. There have also been unexpected beacons of hope and joy created by this new pandemic reality. Things that go beyond the heroic efforts of our frontline workers and the sacrifices they have made. People everywhere reacquainted themselves with their sewing machines, donating time and masks to those in need. The public has rediscovered the joy of reading books, with the year's bestsellers including How to Be an Anti-Racist and White Fragility. Museums have opened their doors virtually to the world, and you don't have to pay $400 a ticket to see Hamilton anymore. Staying at home has resulted in global greenhouse emissions falling by 2.4 billion tons this year, the largest decline on record. Animal shelters are more empty than ever, with people stuck at home needing companionship. Even Drools, a 4-year-old pit bull boxer that spent over 700 days in a Colorado shelter, found his forever home. And if you need a little hope about the pandemic, not only are vaccines coming, but this year has seen the Congo discharge its last Ebola patient, and polio has been officially eradicated from the African continent. It has also been a big year for the other sciences. In May, SpaceX became the first private sector launch vehicle to make a manned flight into space. July saw the launch of our most advanced Mars rover yet, and in October, NASA successfully landed a spacecraft on an asteroid. Gases found separately on both Mars and Venus this year point to the possibilities of microbial life, and now we found water on the moon. In April, the Justice Department released their official UFO videos. Are the metal monoliths just a coincidence? Yes, they are. And while we've got stars on the brain, Trek alumni and Reading Rainbow host LeVar Burton has leveraged the Twitter platform so he can read to quarantine people. John Krasinski of The Office started a YouTube channel that highlights the good news of the world. J-Lo and Shakira destroyed that Super Bowl stage.
Have mercy.
showing us how much we impose self-limitations based on arbitrary numbers. Chris Evans inadvertently showed off his Lil Captain, but had the grace to pivot that into a plea to get out and vote. Lizzo, Keith Urban, and other musicians have embraced streaming options to stay connected to their fans. With touring no longer possible, we have seen acts such as The Cure put the finishing touches on long-rumored projects, and a ton of great new releases have been coming all year long. From Lady Gaga, Miley Cyrus, Taylor Swift, hell, even Cardi B and Megan Thee Stallion taught me to appreciate warm apple pie. The Dixie Chicks dropped the Dixie for the first release in 14 years, Gaslighter, while Bob Dylan released his first new song in 8 years, a 17-minute epic about the JFK assassination. And the good news keeps on coming. Scotland became the first country to make menstrual hygiene products free to all who need them. An embryo that was frozen in 1992 was born, Molly Everett Gibson, on October 26th of this year, breaking the record set by her twin, who was born in 2017. Socially distanced neighbors in Cheshire danced in the rain together, while in Italy, neighbors have been singing together from the balconies. 7-year-old Curtis Rogers threw a socially distanced prom in his backyard for his nanny, whose senior prom was canceled. Robert Carter of Ohio adopted 5 siblings so they could have a home together. 10-year-old Orion Jean organized a donation drive that ended up giving 100,000 families Thanksgiving snack bags. Everyone hopes that turning the page to 2021 will change the world, but it won't. The world changes because we make it. We march, we listen, we vote, we sing, we dance, we care, we give, and we love. Just as we did in 2020, and I'm sure we will in 2021. Changing the world isn't a sprint, it's a marathon. But when I look at how far we've come in this year, despite the challenges, if anything, 2020 has been pretty damned inspiring.